The Backstage at the Blues Fest interview series continues now with our next guest, Grammy award-winning Zydeco artist from Church Point, Louisiana, Chubby Carrier of Chubby Carrier and the Bayou Swamp Band. Carrier has been inducted into the Louisiana Music Hall of Fame. He shared the stage with many well-known musicians. I'll throw a few names out: Carlos Santana, Buddy Guy, Eddie Money, Travis Tritt, the Nitty Gritty Dirt Band, Taj Mahal, Confunction. This is a strange one now. Weird Al Yankovic. Chubby, it's good to have you here.
It's good to be
I'm
here.
honored to interview you. You won your Grammy for the album Zydeco Junkie, and we know you got hooked on Zydeco at a very early age, didn't you?
I have. I was introduced to Zydeco music very young. At the tender age of 8 years old is when I was first introduced to Zydeco music. My father played the Zydeco music. My grandfather played Zydeco music. And they only did it locally at home. They did it for a hobby. But as a kid running around in the neighborhood, listening at my father playing the music and my grandfather playing the music as a kid, it's a no-brainer. I became the third generation just because they were playing the music.
Now, what was it that was drawing you to the music?
That accordion.
The accordion?
The accordion drove me to the music. But when I seen people having fun, when I seen families come together and having a great time as a family, which we don't see today as much no more. But my family would get together. We'd go to church on Sunday, and then after service, we'd get together and we have a cookout. And whether it's a barbecue or maybe there's some jambalaya, red beans and rice or whatever, my aunt or my uncles were cooking. And then after that, we had the Zydeco. We came with the Zydeco music, and that brought people together. As a matter of fact, when I was a little boy, I would hear my parents playing the Zydeco music in the house because that was a house party. Before Kid and Play, they were having house parties back then. French La La, the Zydeco, Le Fé Dodo. Man, that's all a dance. That's all dance. But when I hear them doing the Zydeco, as a little boy playing in the yard, I dropped whatever I was doing, whether I was playing football, basketball, baseball, or anything in the yard, and I went and joined them in the house.
Now, you running in there loving the accordion, but that's not the instrument you started on, is it?
That's not the instrument I started on, but I mean, that accordion drove me to the music, and I seen Daddy playing that instrument. It was so unique because I never seen nothing like that ever before. But my first love was drums. That was my first instrument. I started playing guitar, trying to learn to play the guitar first, and then after the guitar, a little bit of bass, and I said, then the drums. When I got on drums, I said, oh yeah, this is my instrument right here. So I started playing the drums more and more and more every day, kind of copying what Daddy was doing at rehearsal. But then again, I'm a kid. A kid gonna get bored and he's gonna try to change games or change, whatever he was playing with, right? Because that toy got bored. I want to bring in another toy, and that other toy would happen to be the accordion.
It's such a complicated looking instrument. I know there are a couple of types of accordions. You play which of the two?
I play the 32 button row accordion, buttons, not the piano style. My dad played the button row. My grandfather played the button row. It was always around home. And we didn't have the piano or the 10-key buttons at home. We had the 32 buttons at home. That's what I learned off because it was always at the house.
All right. Well, Chubby, is it a long way between I'm hearing the music and running home and the drums and the accordion I'm playing with my family and my friends to Grammy award-winning Chubby Carrier and the Bayou Swamp Band? I mean, how do you go from, you're such a young age learning the instrument, and as I understand it, you tell the story, I mean, you did your band and started doing some things on your own really young.
Yeah, but I mean, that didn't happen overnight. It's a process. Because, first of all, we never had a category to win a Zydeco Grammy Award or a Grammy Award. We never had a category. We petitioned for 7 years to have our very own category. Everybody else had a category except Zydeco Cajun music. And we petitioned for 7 years. And finally the Grammy said, all right, it's time. It's time. So they granted us our wish, and we got our own category for 4 years. And it was the best Zydeco or Cajun album of the year. But I toured for 23 years, 275 dates a year. I lived on the road.
Whoa, it's a lot. It's a
I
lot
lived
of
on the road.
traveling.
My daddy did it as a hobby. My grandfather did it as a hobby. They were sharecroppers. They couldn't leave the home front because they had families. We had big families. So Daddy had to get a job to take care of his family, and he was a sharecropper. My grandfather was a sharecropper, and I told my daddy as a third-generation Zydeco artist, I said, first of all, I'm a football player. I love to play football. And didn't make it to college, didn't make it to the pros. My cousin Mark Carey went on to the pros. But I told Mark, I said, hey, man, I'm going to pursue my dream. And that dream was to be able to do what my daddy and my grandfather couldn't do. Introduce Zydeco music to the world. That was on my mind. I said, we all know in Louisiana and Texas what Zydeco is. I think, Daddy, I want the world to know what Zydeco is. So I left. I traveled the
Now,
world.
how old are you when you leave?
I was 20 years old.
All right.
20 years old. I told Dad, I said, I just want to go out there and spread the Zydeco gospel to everybody. And if you look at the United States of America, I've been there. I traveled so much, I said, it's time to go overseas. Then I started traveling into Europe. I would go to Europe at least 3 times a year. I did just about all 50 states. But I was that determined to take Zydeco and introduce it to the world.
Well, I know teaching is your heart. And that, I think, is a good thing because you share with the next generation so they introduce to it, or else you lose it.
Right.
And so I'm going to let you take us to school a little bit. We're at the Blues Fest here in Baton Rouge. Some might say, well, what's a Zydeco artist got to do with the blues?
Well, that's what happened. When I started traveling all over the world, guess what? There wasn't no Zydeco clubs. So I got an agent, and he goes, I don't know where to put you. I mean, you could play all over Louisiana because y'all have Zydeco clubs. And I said, hey, man, the blues festivals, the blues clubs. And he said, I don't know. I said, that's a perfect fit because Zydeco music is the blues sped up. So if you listen to the blues, and I mean the slow pace that you're hearing, you hear that, but you take that same groove, but you speed it up and give it a little double beat. You pick it up, and it's like, man, the energy from that song, that blues song that we just played, and you turn it into a Zydeco beat, and wow. So wait a minute. So Zydeco music is the blues.
I have never heard that. That is so perfect. That is so perfect. I love that.
But that's where it comes from.
Man, let's go. I found some curriculum that you helped develop. Is going back to you wanting people to know what Zydeco is, and it goes back to even the word Zydeco. Why don't you share with that what Zydeco means and the history of it? Right,
because a lot of people, like when I traveled in the blues club and the blues circuit, people was always asking me what was Zydeco music, how did it get started, and where the name come from, But in our music in the Creole families, in Southwest Louisiana, the Black Creole French speaking families of Southwest Louisiana played the Zydeco music. And they said, what consists of Zydeco music? Well, you listen to the blues, soul, rock and roll, R&B, all combined in this music we call Zydeco, played with an accordion and a washboard. That made the difference. They said, wow. So the life of the party of Zydeco music for the Creole families of Southwest Louisiana, the instruments involved is an accordion and a washboard. Mm-hmm. Absolutely. So I traveled the world, won the Grammy in 2010, but after that I said, the bus stop here. That's like these football players are playing for the Super Bowl trying to win that championship. After I won my Grammy, I said, you know what? It's time to give back. I wanted to give back, and I wanted to go back into schools, into development, to let the kids know how important it is to keep our heritage, our tradition, and our culture alive. So I started teaching in schools, and I started taking Zydeco music to schools. It could be preschool, middle school, junior high school. It didn't matter. I just wanted to keep it in school. Let people know how important it is to keep my heritage and my tradition alive. So I started bringing it back as an educational program, doing like summer programs when I wasn't doing a lot of music. But I'd go into schools and I'd talk about my history, talk about my family history and my culture and my music, to bring it to the kids so they can keep that tradition alive, because we don't want it to die.
Well, we know how much we in Louisiana, Southwest Louisiana, you name Louisiana, we love food. And it makes it just as perfect that Zydeco, even the name, has to do with food.
Yeah.
Tell me the story about. I don't want to. My French is horrible, so I don't want to talk about the snap beans. I'll let you talk about the snap beans.
Well, the snap beans is, we love our food. That's another thing, because people come all over the world and says, man, that's one thing about Louisiana. They got some good food here. But Clifton Chenier used to call his music French la-la. He used to call his music Creole music. He never really had a name for his music. Okay, you can't call it the blues because it's not really the blues, because you play an accordion and a washboard. What are you going to call it? He used to sing this little song, like, les haricots sont pas salés. They would talk about this all the time. They said, what is les haricots? Les haricots sont pas salés. my beans are not salty. And he started talking about his food term, and he goes, that's it. But he said, I'm not going to name it Hariko. I'm going to name it Zydeco. We're going to the Zydeco.
Love it.
So he rhymed Hariko with Zydeco. So he named it Zydeco. And people was asked, why you name it that? Because of our food. We love good cooking in Louisiana.
And then tying back in with the blues thing is these are beans that don't have salt meat.
Beans without any salt. They're Hariko salt, but the beans are not salty.
We'll go back to what you're doing. I mean, you remember what was the first album? You were young.
Oh, yeah.
What was the very first? Because I know that is probably the rawest. I'm coming from my daddy and my grandpa, and you remember that first album?
Yes, I do. It was a cassette.
Oh, we're going way back.
Way back. So yeah, we didn't do the 8-track. Daddy did the 8-track. I did the cassettes. So my first album, I was 19 years old, living in Church Point, Louisiana. I signed up with our local record shop called Record Shop.
Okay.
That's where my mom would buy all her records at. And in that record shop, we had our record store and also our first recording studio in Church Point called Lenore Records. So Mr. Lee was his name. I walk in, Lee Laverne. I walk in the store and he goes, hey, little boy, you still playing music with your daddy? I remember him telling me stories about the bands that he recorded in the Swamp Pop and the Zydeco, but he never was into a lot of the Zydeco artists because Floyd Swallow had the artists from Ville Platte, but he was locally doing a lot of Swamp Pop. But when I grew up, I remember him. I said, well, nobody want to pick me up, so I remember Mr. Lee Laverne. And I went in the store and I said, Mr. Lee, you remember me? Hey, how you doing? I said, I got a band now. Oh, you do? I said, but I'm looking to record my first album. Can you help me out? He said, sure I can, absolutely. I knew your dad and your mama for years. Walk in the studio, he said, I'm going to sign you up to my record company. Lenore Records out of Church Point, Louisiana.
My. And
1989.
And it began. How many, did you do other albums with him? Because you have how many, 14 now?
Yeah.
We have 14 albums?
Yeah, I only did that one album when he helped me get started. Because he didn't want to have a lot of artists under his name. He's getting of age. And he didn't want to be able to be responsible doing all the legwork anymore. So he decided, I'm going to help you out. I'm going to do one record with you and you take you from there. I'm going to teach you the ropes. So he taught me how to get the record going, and we put the record out, and I shopped it around. Then I got picked up with a label out of Chicago called Flying Fish Records out of Chicago. And they picked me up for a couple of album deals, but the president died. And then I had to find another record deal. But as I'm traveling the world, I'm playing all these blues circuits, and that's blues labels. And he goes, wow, this Zydeco stuff is good. I never had anybody like this on my label. I think I'm going to sign a Zydeco artist, So that's how I got signed with the blues artist, by traveling all over the world playing the blues circuit. And that's when the record company says, oh, if you're playing the blues circuit, man, we can sell some records. So I signed with those guys, and then president died from Flying Fish, and then I went with another company, Blind Pig Records.
The names of these companies.
I know, out of Chicago. So I signed with those guys, and then, but when the technology rolled in, I said, you know what? They don't really know where to put Zydeco. The only one that I think can market this music is me. I decided to start my own record label in 2000 called Swampadelic Records. After trying different record companies, I learned the business. And Daddy said to learn the business. You can play music, you can be happy, you can do all what you want to do as far as that goes, but if you don't learn the business, you're never going to get anywhere. And I started putting my head together and said, he's right. Because his records, he don't own. My grandfather's records, he doesn't own. And I said, I need to find out how I can own all my recordings and all my records and everything that I do for Chubby Carrier to protect my own.
Right.
I learned the business. That's the main thing I needed to do. I needed to learn the business.
Well, Chubby, again, I mentioned you had 14 albums. That's a lot of music, a lot of creativity. How does that work for you? I mean, do you have the band? Do you guys get together? I don't know if it's morphed over the years how you come up with different things, but what's the writing process like for you?
Well, the thing about it, first of all, I don't read music. I hear music, and I feel it. When I'm writing a song, I have to feel it. If it's on paper, it don't feel right. So me and my band, we get together, we can do sound check. As we doing a sound check, we can come up with such a good groove. And I say, wow, that feels good. We will lay it down, we put it on a little, recorder until we can get to rehearsal. And then we'll sit down at rehearsal and start writing the song as we playing. That just come with all feeling. Sometimes it could be a story of something that happened on the road or something comical, but it got to be something I have to feel. If you look at the dancers don't sing along to all the songs. If they feel a good beat, they're going to dance to it. That's how I write my music. But I got a talented group of guys around me. My band is very talented. I don't write all the music myself. A lot of times the guys come up with some ideas. They'll give it to me because the gate is open. Please feel free to let me know what you're feeling or what you're hearing. Bring it to practice, and we'll take you from there.
Have you been playing with the same group of guys the whole time, or
no, different musicians. A lot of guys, decide to get, not travel as much anymore, or some got married, can't travel anymore, so you got to change band members and what have you. But I surround myself around a bunch of great, talented guys, because you hear about those musicians and you go after them.
I could hear the heart. I watched the acceptance speech from the Grammy Award, and I love that you use the opportunity to shout out Louisiana.
Yes,
I mean,
indeed.
You didn't forget Louisiana, and just humble, very humble, all of you guys that came up to the mic that night, and then moving forward, because that's been many years and several albums since the Grammy.
Right.
When we met and you came in here, I asked you about your latest, and you whipped it out.
Yeah.
Back to your roots, and you're talking about that, getting back to your roots. You're wanting to keep Zydeco alive and on into the next generation. Looking at the Back to the Roots album, give us an example. You talked about your writing process, that you all come together and it comes from the heart. You don't write music. There's nothing that you write. I guess you all you hear it. You have good ears for music. I'm looking at the Back to the Roots album. Give me a little bit of the writing process. What's one of your favorite on this latest album?
The Zydeco people.
Zydeco people.
Because you know what? The people that's out there today, if it wouldn't be for those people that I'm writing for, as I'm watching them dancing, if the song, you hear the song talking about people coming together, we've been around for a long, long time, it puts a smile on my face to see that crowd being happy, dancing to my Zydeco music. So a lot of the times when I'm writing this and I'm giving back, I'm talking about my roots, I remember when we used to go back to the church dances and play church halls at my church. And watching these people just smiling, being happy with this style of music, I decided, I said, you know what, I don't want to forget about my roots, I don't want to forget about my heritage, my culture. I want to try to keep it fresh, So that Zydeco people is all about the audience, the people that gave back to us. Because without them, there's no us. We feed off of those guys. A lot of the times when you see them smiling and dancing and clapping their hands, singing along, you know what? They're hearing and they're feeling that beat that I wrote.
I think, most of the songs that you write have that beat. Every now and then you'll put a slower tempo song in there.
Right, I'm not a love song kind of guy.
But a lot of it, it's hard to sit still. It's the kind of music where, and I love the thing about Zydeco, you don't have to know how to dance. You don't have to know how to move.
No.
The music helps you.
You feel a good beat.
And you go with it.
You sit down there, and I'm telling you, I was watching people today when I was playing the Blues Fest, and they were just standing there going, their hands are just bopping.
And the two-step, if you want an official Zydeco dance, the two-step's not that difficult to learn.
No, not at all. But it's just the idea when you watch them. They walk up to the stage, and the beat got them going. You can tell it's good to them because they can feel the beat as you watching them, But I live off of those guys, off of the audience. But a lot of the songs that I wrote off of this album is dealing with my roots and my culture and the fans.
All right, I got to ask then, hard-headed man. Wait, roots family. This is a hard-headed man with a kind-hearted woman.
Now, that's where this coming with my grandfather, because my grandfather was a hard-headed man with a kind-hearted woman. And my grandmother was kind-hearted, let me tell you. But my grandfather was hard-headed. But that's in the culture. That's coming up watching my grandfather and going, wow. What a hard-headed, and she would tell him that too. You're just a hard-headed man.
Yeah, and I noticed a couple of covers, and every now and then I'll see a cover on one of it. You've got Your Love Keeps Lifting Me.
Yeah, and you know what that came about? Again, I grew up in the 70s. Listen to Wilson Pickett, listen to all these guys that were singing, Confunction, James Brown. I grew up listening to the funk. And I mean, come on, I'm in a household. My mom sang gospel music, my daddy sang the blues, and I'm growing up on the funk. That's a recipe for a great gumbo.
You know, when we started this thing, I was looking at the artists that you have performed with, and just from one end to the other, from Carlos Santana, Travis Tritt, the Nitty Gritty, Al Yankovic, really?
Yeah.
How does that work? I mean, you're from one. I can't imagine.
From one extreme to another.
Yeah.
The Zydeco music, you never know where it's going to land. Because when I had a travel agency, booking agent, as a matter of fact, when we were traveling, we had a lot of people asking to bring in Zydeco music. I opened up for Al Yankovic, and that's crazy. I'm like, we at Disney World, Pleasure Island, New Year's Eve, Chubby Carrier and Weird Al Yankovic.
Yeah, what a combo.
What a combo. What? You know, but I couldn't say no to it.
Yeah.
You know, because he did a song, he did a couple of accordions, you know, and some, you know, Al will be Al. But he loved Louisiana music. And before you can be an opening act, Travis Tritt or Weird Al have to agree to that. We're going to let this group open up for me. They heard my music and goes, yeah, let's get this guy. Chubby Carrier and the Bayou Swamp Band. I like that sound. Let him come in and open up for me. And
you had fun. It was a good. The fans. Yeah. I mean, the people that listen to you. I'm sure because you're traveling, there are people that are being introduced to Zydeco for the first time, and you've been overseas. Can you talk a little bit about the difference of the reaction of the people here? And of course, Louisiana, we know Zydeco.
Yeah.
But what is it like when you go to places that they're hearing it for the first time? You go overseas. I don't know if it's growing over there or it's already been over there, but give us a little range of how people react to Zydeco.
Well, overseas, the blues is huge. You go overseas, you get to Europe, the blues is huge. Those people are good listeners over there. But guess what's also big in Europe? Accordions. That accordion that I'm playing today that came from Germany. Those accordions weren't called accordions back then. In the first World War, there was accordions in Germany that all the people from the Creole and the Cajun side brought back. These accordions were called melodeons. Those Germans and those Italian guys were playing accordions before we were. So when the first war went, those guys that was in the service brought back these accordions to the United States. Okay, but they didn't play German because they weren't German.
So they've heard the sound before, but have they heard Zydeco?
So here's the deal.
But have they heard accordion like you play the accordion?
No, and that's what did it for them because they said, oh man, because we play German, we play Dutch, we play Italian, you know, but we never play nothing like this. They tell me, man, you sound like Jimi Hendrix on the accordion. You know, it's like you playing guitar licks on the accordion, and I am.
Guitar licks on the accordion.
Yeah,
all right.
Yeah. And that's what they heard. Is the blues.
Yeah.
Because I'm playing the blues on the accordion. So he says, yeah, you sound like a Jimi Hendrix of accordion player. And I said, yeah, because I can't play German.
It should be on the next album, the Jimi Hendrix of accordion player. Yeah, that's really neat.
Yeah, so that was unique for them to hear that style. When I brought it overseas to them, I said, you know what? You got the polka, you got the Italian, you got the German sound, Swiss, but I'm going to bring you a blues sound on the accordion. They was blown away. They said, oh, my God, I've never seen anything like it. But that's what I brought to the table to them when I got to Europe, and they absolutely loved it because they love the blues and they love accordions, and it was so unique to what I brought to the table for them.
We are chatting with Chubby Carrier and the Bayou Swamp Band here at the Blues Fest 2015. Rain can't stop us. I tell you, love it that the show is going on and it's going on strong.
Better safe than sorry.
You have again so many albums, and I know there are fans that they know you're going to be a place and they show up. You might already have in mind what you're going to play, but I'm sure you get it whispered in your ear. Can you play this? What do you hear the most from fans? What do they want to hear?
They give me a test of time of, you know, since you're doing the blues, can you do some cover songs? Like here, I got Stand By Me. You know, who'd have thought you could take a song like that? But you see, I grew up listening to that song, Stand By Me. Your love keep lifting me higher. I listened to these songs when I was a little boy and goes, wow, you just incorporated a hit from the 60s and 70s and you brought it into the Zydeco feel with that beat, with that groove. And I said, yeah, the groove again, if you listen to it, it's all blues. But I just still took that same song and I sped it up. And it says, wow, and it's still fitting. And people say, first of all, I love the song, and now you're going to take it and put it into a cool Zydeco groove?
Yeah.
You know? So now here
you
we
get
are.
a lot of cuts for Zydeco Junkie?
Yeah. I get it. Because
the Grammy.
you know, That's how people started with the Zydeco Junkie, because they fans would walk up to me and tell me all the time and goes, "I'm a Zydeco junkie. I love your music." Or they would say, "I'm a junkie." I said, "What do you mean you're a junkie?" "I'm a Zydeco junkie."
Oh, yeah.
So the fans actually
I'm thinking
started
about
that.
one of, some of the ones I liked as I was listening through Jalapeno Lena.
Uh-huh.
I love that. The beat, and I liked a lot of the instrumentals because you're, oh my gosh, you play the accordion. It's so skilled. You know, I don't know if it's you took something from your granddaddy and your daddy, and they infused it into you.
Yeah.
But when I really get to hear the accordion and you playing it, it's wonderful.
Thank you. And I took all that from my granddaddy, my daddy, and I incorporated it into what my sound should sound like, because my daddy told me, he says, "I don't want you to sound like your granddaddy. I don't want you to sound like me. I want you to have your own sound. You're gonna go places." And I did, and I won a Grammy for doing that.
I know that they are. Your dad wasn't there to see it. Is that correct?
No.
You know, didn't get a chance to see it.
Broke my heart. My dad died the year I was nominated for the Grammy. He died in May of 2010. I was nominated December 2010. He died the year of.
But he got to see the success. He knew you were going there.
You know, when I got up to the podium, I felt his presence. I was sitting up there and I was crying, and it was because of happiness and sadness. But I knew he was there. I could feel it, you know, and I was just blown away when I stood there, and then he just probably felt like he just looked at me and he says, "Way to go, son." Because Daddy took it as far as he possibly can. He paved the way for me, and he says, "Now, go get it." Because this is it. I can't do it no more.
Yeah, you have any kids? Do you have any kids?
I got kids.
Are
I got two boys.
Are they following in your footsteps at all?
My son won a Grammy. My son was my drummer.
Oh, see, and it continues. That's the way it.
The tradition.
I love
He's
it.
the
I
fourth
love it in
generation.
your family. It began with granddaddy and daddy and you, and now your son.
My son, yeah.
And then you're also giving it out to everyone, you know, through curriculum and anyone who will listen about the history of Zydeco.
Yeah.
What's the future hold for you?
Well, right now I want to continue to pass on the tradition to the next generation. That's what I want to do. I want to pass on my tradition to the next generation. That's why I'm preaching it while I can, because I want to spread the Zydeco gospel to those kids.
And I really quickly, just to let anyone listening know, there are ways that you're doing that are quite interesting. Like I think I mentioned just briefly that you've got a curriculum for teachers. If you're a teacher and want to be able to let your kids know about this wonderful form of music, you have what's it, A to Z?
It's called Zydeco from A to Z. It teaches the kids about the Zydeco music from I'm talking about the accordion, the washboard, all the instruments involved, how the music got started. Also demonstrate the accordion and the washboard. And I tell you what, last year at my summer program, I brought my washboards. I had like 10 washboard players and about 3 accordion players, and they all for Christmas told their mom they wanted a washboard for Christmas.
I don't know if we can go get one of those in the store anymore. You might have to have this specially made.
No, we have them special made for
Really?
Yeah.
Because the washboard I remember from my grandma, she actually used, you know, to wash the clothes. But today, you know,
no, we make them for them. Yeah, we make them for them, and they love it. They love it. So the curriculum is working well. The kids are so much they love it when they get involved and you introduce the music to them. It's amazing once you get to introduce the music to them how they want to be involved with it. And I'm like, wow, this is it. That's our next generation right here.
Well, Chubby, we've enjoyed talking with you and having you here. Wish you the best as you move forward. I know great things are ahead for you. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Enjoyed talking with you. Chubby Carrier and the Bayou Swamp Band at the Blues Fest 2015 in downtown Baton Rouge.
Thank you.
Thanks, Chubby.